Der Dialog von Keto-Mojo erforscht 11 potenzielle gesundheitliche Vorteile der Ketose, wie Gewichtsverlust, reduzierten Appetit, verbesserte Cholesterin, Diabetesmarker und Herzgesundheit. Es erwähnt auch Auswirkungen auf neurologische Erkrankungen, Akne, Migräne und Krebsbehandlung. Der Artikel betont die Konsultation von Gesundheitsfachleuten vor größeren Ernährungsumstellungen. Keto-Mojo bietet Rezepte, Ressourcen und Produkte für die ketogene Diät.
Welcome back, everyone. I feel like we just scratched the surface of the keto diet.
We did. We covered a lot of ground.
We did. And speaking of which, you mentioned some specific cancers being studied in relation to keto.
Right.
I remember glioblastoma being one.
Yeah, glioblastoma.
Yeah.
A type of brain tumor. It's shown some interesting responses to keto in studies, but it's not just brain cancer. Researchers are looking at prostate cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, even lung cancer.
Wow. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, but more targeted research into how keto might impact different types of cancers.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that the research is still ongoing. We're not saying it's a miracle cure or anything.
Of course.
The strongest evidence for a tumor-suppressing effect really comes from studies on those specific types of cancer.
Yeah.
And even then, it's mostly explored as a complementary therapy, alongside conventional treatments.
Right, so not a replacement for those treatments.
Right.
That makes sense, giving people options, exploring possibilities.
Exactly.
So we've gone through these 11 potential benefits, as highlighted by Keto-Mojo. I'm curious, what's your main takeaway so far? What really stands out to you?
That's a good question. What's caught your attention?
I think what's most striking is how keto seems to be about way more than just weight loss.
Right.
It's like a whole body approach, potentially impacting everything from inflammation to heart health to brain function.
Yeah, it really is. It's like peeling back layers of an onion. Each layer reveals another potential benefit. And you're right, it's not about fitting into smaller genes. It's about potentially improving those underlying mechanisms that drive a lot of the health problems we face today.
And it's amazing how it challenges, so much of what we've been told about diet and health for years.
Yeah.
A higher fat diet being good for your heart, that's a pretty huge change.
It is. But like we discussed, it's all about the type of fat and how your body actually uses it when it's in this state of ketosis. It's not about gorging yourself on burgers and fries all day.
Right.
It's about making good choices, fueling your body with what it needs to function properly.
Right. And that brings up another important point. This is a lifestyle change, not a quick fix.
Absolutely.
Keto-Mojo really emphasizes that point.
Yeah, and for good reason. It takes dedication.
Yeah.
And you have to shift your thinking about food and how it affects your body.
Yeah.
It's definitely not for everyone, and it's definitely not something to just jump into without some guidance.
Right.
Especially if you have any pre-existing conditions.
Right. Which is why talking to your doctor is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They can help you figure out if it's even right for you. Tailor the diet to your specific needs. Monitor you as you go. It has to be personalized. You can't just, download a meal plan off the internet and hope for the best.
That's a great point. And even for those who aren't thinking about keto, this conversation has really highlighted the connection between diet and health.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a good reminder what we put in our bodies matters.
It does. It really
It's not just about calories.
No, it's information. It's telling ourselves what to do.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about all these potential benefits, but I think it's also important to be realistic. What about some of the downsides to keto? No diet is perfect.
True. You're right. Keto is no exception. There can be some side effects, especially when you're first starting. As your body gets used to using fat for fuel. Have you heard of the keto flu?
Oh, yeah, the dreaded keto flu. Heard all about it.
It's basically a bunch of symptoms some people experience in that initial transition, like fatigue, headaches, nausea, not fun stuff. Keto-Mojo recommends making sure you're staying hydrated, getting enough electrolytes. And it usually passes within a few days or weeks.
So it's like a temporary initiation ritual into the world of ketosis.
You could say that, but definitely something to be aware of.
Yeah.
Take steps to, make it easier on yourself.
For sure. Another concern I've heard is nutrient deficiencies. Cutting out entire food groups like grains and some fruits seems like it could cause problems.
Yeah, and it's a valid concern. That's why it's so important to really focus on nutrient-dense foods when you're doing keto. Leafy greens, avocados, nuts, seeds.
So it's not just bacon and cheese all day long.
Not quite. It's about being smart,
Yeah.
prioritizing those whole unprocessed foods.
Yeah.
And sometimes, yeah, supplementing might be necessary to, like, fill in any gaps. But of course, talk to your doctor first.
Always.
Always, always.
Makes sense. What about the long-term sustainability of keto? It does seem pretty restrictive, hard to stick with for a long time.
Right, you're right. It's a big change in how you eat, how you think about food, and it might not be right for everybody.
Especially for people with certain medical conditions.
Right. So, for example, pregnant or breastfeeding women, people with kidney or liver issues,
Mm-hmm.
and those with a history of eating disorders. They really need to be careful and talk to their doctor.
It all comes back to personalized guidance.
It does. It's about finding what works for you.
Your individual needs.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up this part, I want to go back to something we mentioned earlier, the brain health connection.
Yeah.
I just find that so fascinating. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing that a diet can impact something as complex as our brains.
I know.
The idea that ketones can be like brain fuel, offer protection against neurological diseases, it's really incredible.
It is. And remember how we talked about the history of keto in treating epilepsy?
Yeah.
That was a big deal. And now we're seeing research into other conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
Wow. It's like a whole new world of possibilities, isn't it? It really highlights the power of food, like food as medicine.
It does. It makes you wonder, what other benefits might we discover as research continues?
Lots to think about.
Definitely.
Welcome back to the show. It feels like we've been on a real journey exploring this whole world of the keto diet.
It has been quite the exploration, from weight loss to brain health, so many potential benefits.
Yeah, and we talked about some of the challenges too,
Right.
like the keto flu and why it's so important to get guidance from a doctor.
Exactly, yeah. With any big lifestyle change, you really have to weigh things out. Understand the good and the bad.
And let's face it, there's still a lot we just don't know about keto. The research is ongoing.
That's true, but that's also what makes it so exciting. Nutrition science is constantly evolving, and keto is definitely right up there on the cutting edge.
I feel like we've only just, dipped our toes in the water. But it's clear that keto's more than just some fad diet. It's a powerful change to your metabolism with, ripple effects on all these different aspects of our health.
It really is. It's a whole different way of thinking about food,
Huh?
how it interacts with our bodies. It challenges a lot of those old ideas about nutrition.
Yeah, and that's empowering, isn't it? Knowing we have some control over our health through the choices we make every single day.
Absolutely. So whether or not you decide to try keto, I hope this deep dive's giving you the information you need to make those choices.
Yeah, it's all about being curious, doing your research, finding what works best for you,
Exactly.
and of course, talking to your doctor.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This deep dive has been great. I hope our listeners found it informative and maybe even got them thinking a little differently.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep on diving deep.